a second. Okay, I see a couple of attendees, so we are live.
Good evening. Welcome to the Jersey City Board of Adjustment. This is a special meeting. This is Wednesday, December 16, 2020 at a little after 6:30 p.m. We are coming to you via Zoom in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, which allows us to hold these meetings virtually during a time of crisis or pandemic. So we are doing this until further notice. So thank you very much for those of you who have joined us during this virtual meeting. With that, let's get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one
nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you. Staff, are there any sunshine announcements?
In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this hearing was given to the Jersey Journal, the Jersey City Reporter, and posted with the city clerk, and we have the notices to be marked.
Okay, and that would be B1 in evidence for tonight.
Thank you. And Bridget, whenever you're ready, can we please take roll call?
I could take care of that. Just give me
Yeah.
1 second.
You threw me.
All right. Commissioner Brown,
Here.
Commissioner Mitchell. Commissioner Mitchell, you are on mute.
I'm mute.
I'm sorry. I'm
There you
here.
go.
I apologize.
That's okay.
No worries. Commissioner Bakta?
Here.
No. Commissioner Rothman?
Here.
Commissioner McCormick?
Here.
Commissioner Shadid?
Yes.
And Chairman Jacobs.
Here.
Okay, we have 7 present.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And can we please swear in staff?
Okay. Do you swear or affirm the testimony or comment you're about to give this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Great. And that's Ms. Sigmund and Mr. Black.
Thank you. Any correspondence?
So we have a number of cases that are carried this evening. Let me share my screen. All right, you can see the agenda.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so the first 3 items are going on tonight, but the last 3 items are being carried. So that is case Z20-065, 46 Gardner Avenue is being adjourned to the January 14th, 2021 hearing without preservation of notice. So they will be renoticing. Same for case Z20-058, that's 177 Lembeck Avenue, also adjourned to the January 14th, 2021 regular meeting without preservation of notice. And same for case Z20-059, 387 to 391 First Street, also adjourned to the January 14th, 2021 regular meeting without preservation of notice. So all 3 of those cases will be renoticing. So the agenda is just the first 3 items. That's the 1-year extension at 400 Newark, the minor site plan at 332 Hoboken, and the D variance application at 95 Bright Street.
Okay. So the only ones that are proceeding today are case Z20-098, which is 400 Newark Avenue, case Z20-067, which is 332 Hoboken Avenue, and case Z20-032, which is 95 Bright Street. Right, Lindsay? There's nothing else that's happening today.
Correct.
Okay, so if you're calling in for one of the three ones that's been carried to January, we're not going to hear those applications today. With that, unless there's anything else, Lindsay, let's proceed with case Z20-098, the 1-year extension on 400 Newark Avenue. If you can promote Mr. Pizzillo and team, please.
Yes, I just promoted Gerard. If there's anyone else who's presenting for that 1-year extension, if you can click raise hand so I can promote you. It wouldn't be.
It's just going to be me and Lindsay tonight.
Okay, I figured.
Okay. Good evening, Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Gerard Pizzillo. I'm an attorney with Genova Burns in Jersey City. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, 400 Newark Realty, LLC. And the property we're speaking about is 400 Newark Avenue. It's block 9806, lots 2 and 3, located in the neighborhood commercial zone. And as the agenda and Lindsay indicated, I'm here tonight requesting a 1-year extension of a preliminary and final major site plan approval that this board granted in 2017. At that time, the board approved a project consisting of a 7-story mixed-use structure with 27 residential dwelling units and ground floor commercial retail space, as well as some tenant amenity space. That approval was memorialized by resolution on January 11th, 2018. Subsequently, I appeared before this board October 10th, 2019, and I did request at that time a 1-year extension as well. And I'm asking for an additional 1-year extension tonight. And obviously, with the current environment in the world, with the pandemic, there's been numerous construction delays. My client is fully intending on building this project. In fact, he's finalizing a similar project across the street at 202 Mercedes. And with the delays in that project because of COVID and the fact that this approval or the last extension that we received is set to expire in January of 2021. We just wanted to come in and request this extension to further protect the approval. Our intention, my client's intention, is to obviously break ground in 2021 after the frost. The approval is good until 2021 as is without the extension I'm asking for tonight. And it would be impossible to really get the permits in place for footings and foundation and then start taking care of that, that work in the winter months. So that is really the basis for the extension request tonight. I just will note in closing that statutorily we are not obligated, but we are permitted to request no more than 3 1-year extensions, meaning that the approval can't be 5 years out from the date of the initial approval. So we're within that time period. We're within the statutory right, as this is our second request for an extension. And then the one final thing I would note is as a result of the pandemic and all the issuances of the governor's executive orders and amendments to certain statutes, there was an extension of the Permit Extension Act, which also does extend approvals or all governmental approvals that were at the time of March 9, 2020 in effect. And that would run from 6 months following the expiration of what they define as the COVID extension period. End of the day, all that being said, my clients are intending to construct this project in 2021, but we're just asking the board for that additional 1-year extension for the approval, to protect the approval. Other than that, if the board doesn't have any questions for me, that would conclude my presentation, and I would just respectfully request you grant the 1-year extension as we're requesting tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pizzillo. I think I recall the request for a 1-year extension that was previously made. And I believe, but please tell me if it's incorrect. I believe when that request was made, it wasn't just a request for an extension. There was also some minor change requested to the ground floor or the lobby. Is that incorrect?
I could go back and look, Commissioner, but I believe that's incorrect. I think when I
Okay.
appeared before you in October, it was just as to the site plan. Excuse me, the extension. No changes to the project.
Then maybe I was thinking of the project next door. What is the repercussion if we don't vote for the extension? Then what happens?
Well, the repercussion is, from my client's perspective, the zoning approval is no longer protected, so that if the city decided to change the neighborhood commercial zone, my client would not be permitted to build the project that this board previously approved. So in other words, if there's a zone change that, say, for example, neighborhood commercial, you only want to do a 3-story maximum, for example, right? And we had approval for a 7-story building. We didn't pull the permits on that 7-story building. The zoning was changed. Now we have an approval for a 7-story building that you can't build because the max is now 3. So that doesn't preclude us from going back and asking for a new approval with new D variances to get back to where we started here. So it's just really, to answer your question, to protect the approval that's in place.
Okay. Apologies for probably asking too many questions. Does anyone else from the board have any questions?
No worries.
Staff, any position on this? I know it's very straightforward.
Any public?
Is there anyone public who has anything here? This is just the administrative seeking 1-year extension on an already approved measure application. So there really shouldn't be anyone from the public that has anything to say, because we're not getting to the merits of this. Lindsay, is there anyone who has any comments or questions from the public?
No, I don't see any hands raised, but just for anyone who's here to speak on any of the cases, if you did have a question or a comment, well, for right now, just for 400 Newark Avenue, you would click raise hand. And if you're calling in, you would dial *9 for those on a phone. But I do see one hand raised. So at this time, I'm going to unmute you. This is Dory Robinson. So if you're here to speak on 400 Newark, I'm going to unmute you, and you'll be able to, at that time, you'll state and spell your full name and provide your address. So again, Dory Robinson, I just allowed you to unmute yourself to speak.
Hi, Ms. Robinson. Before you speak, we have a timekeeper. Commissioner Rothman is going to be keeping time so that all members of the public have 3 minutes to give comment. But I would also reiterate that we're not addressing the merits of this application. We're only weighing in on whether or not to give a 1-year extension to an already approved application. And so really, your testimony should probably be limited in scope to whether or not and why you believe we should grant or deny a 1-year extension on an already approved application.
And Ms. Robinson, do you verify that you are who you just, actually, could you state and spell your full name for the record?
Ms. Robinson, I don't know if you're on mute or having technical issues. I don't believe that we can hear you.
No, I can't hear anything. Okay.
Is she still there?
I think it might have been a mistake. Sometimes people click raise hand.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this time, I just disabled their speaking. Ms. Robinson, if you change your mind, you can raise your hand again if you're here to speak on 400 Newark Ave. But in the meantime, raised your hand again. Sorry, I guess you have some technical difficulties. So I am unmuting you. So let's try this again. All right, you should be able to unmute yourself and speak.
Ms. Robinson, are you able to unmute yourself? It looks like from looking at the screen that you're still muted.
Does she know how to do that?
So as the host, I just clicked to unmute, but I think they still need to do something on their end. Okay, so they are unmuted. They should be able to speak.
All right, Ms. Robinson, we still can't hear you. If you have anything that you want to say, are you able to send a message to Lindsay, and maybe she can help you?
Yes, I also just promoted them to panelists, so it's usually that gives people some more permissions. So maybe that'll help. But you could also send a chat and I can read it into the record. Typically, well, the chat is disabled for attendees, but since you are now a panelist, you'd be able to send me a chat and I can read it for the record. Just give it a couple seconds there.
All right. I don't, at this point, Lindsay, I don't know if you have other potential solutions. I don't know what else we can do. I think we've tried to make multiple accommodations to be
Yeah.
able to hear from Ms. Robinson.
Yeah, I messaged them. Can you hear us? Oh, they don't have any questions regards to this location. All right. Well,
There we go. Okay.
Okay.
all right.
Thank you very
So
much.
yes. So you can click raised hand again, Ms. Robinson, when we get to the case that you have a comment on, if any. Switching you back over. Okay. As far as staff comment, nothing to say here. Staff recommends approval.
Okay. Anyone from the board have any comments, questions for staff, questions for attorney?
I just have a quick one. What was the main reason, like, we granted the first extension in October of before the COVID was already started and all, correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, what happened that nothing was done in that time frame, you know?
Yeah,
COVID
no,
didn't start coming down heavy until later on in, you know,
no, fair,
just-
fair.
no disrespect, but no, I'm on record in the previous applications for extensions. I know you're within your rights for 2 or 3 years, and then that way it's 5-year limitations basically. But
Right.
you know what? I mean, I see construction going on for almost every day since way before COVID, back in 2018, 19, and even in COVID times. I mean, I know every situation is different. I just wanted to know the main reason why, like I said, no disrespect, why
No.
when we gave that first extension, nothing was done.
Sure. And no disrespect, Commissioner, it's a fair question, and it's a legitimate question. I would say that the reason why there was nothing from October of 2019, what happened was, as part of the bases for when I went in, or when I came before you at the time, the sister project across the street at 202 Mercedes, there was litigation involving that approval, which affected that construction schedule. And that was delayed until the lawsuit was ultimately resolved. Then they continued to construct and complete that building. That building was close to final CO or completion when COVID hit. And then the next was going to be this project to be built.
All right, so it was I'm sorry, it was the same owners of the different properties doing the same construction work, basically?
That's correct. All the 202 Mercedes and this client for 400, it's the same family-owned development company.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner McCormick. Anyone else have any other questions? If not, does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion on case Z20-098 for the 1-year extension for approval. Hopefully it will be the final one.
I hope so.
Is there a
Anyone
second?
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Brown,
You're on mute, Lenora.
Yes,
There you go.
Lindsay, sorry.
no worries. Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakta,
Yes.
Commissioner Rothman,
No.
Commissioner McCormick,
Yes.
Commissioner Shadid,
Yes.
and Chairman Jacobs.
I was pretty close to voting no on this. I'll vote yes, but I am pretty disappointed that we aren't moving forward with projects after we spend a lot of time on them. So I agree with sentiments that Commissioner Rothman has previously raised. I understand the extenuating circumstances here, but I really appreciate if we try to move forward. And please, Mr. Pizzillo, express those points to your client. If we could have asked for 6 months instead of 1 year, I would have loved to do that, to kind of say, let's push this as soon as we can.
I understand, Chairman. And thank you, Commissioners. Have a great holiday, everybody.
Thank you.
too.
Just for clarification, Chairman, what was your vote? Yes or no?
Is a
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Okay. So with 6-4, 1 opposed, motion carries. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Commissioners. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we're proceeding with case Z20-067. Address is 332 Hoboken Avenue.
Yeah, Ashley Brin and Donald Pepe.
What was the first name? Cam?
If Ashley Brin is on, she.
Okay. Yep, promoting Ashley. I already promoted Don and promoting Ed.
Yeah,
Okay, so just the three of you? No one else?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Don, we have your affidavit and your proof of service, your notice of publication, and Bridget, we're going to mark that as A1 for this application.
Okay, so this will be A1 for this application. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Thank you for your time this evening. Donald Pepe from the law firm of Scarinci Hollenbeck on behalf of the applicant. You may know Mr. Lita best by his ownership of Avell Auto Body, which was down on Marin for the longest period of time. When that property went to get redeveloped, he relocated to the current property, which is on Route 139, 332 Hoboken Avenue. We're here this evening because Mr. Lita wants to spruce up the building. He recently acquired it, and he just wants to spruce it up a little bit. But because it's a pre-existing non-conforming use, we're here before you this evening. So I don't want to belabor the application anymore. Ed Colling will tell you what the improvements are and provide the justification. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I guess they should be sworn in.
Vinny,
Yes.
did you want to ask the attorneys tonight about?
Oh, I'm
their-
sorry. Yeah. Don, you would agree to have your witnesses sworn in remotely?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry,
raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And just state and spell your full name for the record.
My name is Edward Colling, Kolling, licensed professional planner in New Jersey, also certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners, and my license is current. So I'm just going to go through this very briefly because.
Great. So sorry, apologies, I was on mute, but we accept your qualifications. Mr. Collins been before the board many times.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So
I think the board's probably familiar with this stretch of Hoboken Avenue. It's also called 139. You come up out of the Holland Tunnel, downtown Jersey City, come to Palisade Avenue. A block beyond that is the stretch of what is all commercial and industrial types of structures. What you see on the screen now, right in front of you, is the subject parcel. It's been painted all white. It has been a auto repair shop for probably 90 years or more. Uh, as most of these properties have been industrial or commercial as well. Ashley, can you go to the next photo? These are the properties just to the west. You can see Centro Auto Body behind the subject property. There's an alleyway that wraps around the subject property. It's on the left-hand side and then wraps around to the rear. The building that you see there is a residential building, but there's a vacant lot right in front of it that's also owned by the owner of the Central Auto Body, and they use that for storage of cars and things of that nature. And Baldwin Avenue is just to your left. Next photo, please. Now, these are the properties just to the right, just to the east. All three of these properties are listed in the tax rolls as being industrial properties. And again, they've been there for decades. So you can see what the character is here. Although it's an R1 zone, it's really heavy commercial, industrial in nature, and it's been so for many, many decades. When it was operating, and I don't know if Ashley can bring up the next photo, I'll just show you what it looks like. This is what it looked like when it was operating. This is taken from a Google Earth picture from 2019. And what we're just trying to do here is very simple. We're not expanding the building. It can't be expanded. It's got right-of-ways on three sides and the building immediately adjacent to it. We're not expanding really the use necessarily because there's an office use within the building. We see Oscars right behind there is an office use that's related to the facility. And beyond that sliding door that you see, that's where the repairs always took place. And that's always going to be also going to be the same. The expansion, and I think your planner, Cameron, also mentioned this in his report, the expansion really has to do with improvements to the facade. Where that word Oscars is to the left, there's two small windows. In the past, there used to be a larger window there. If you were at the site, you'd be able to see cracks and fill-ins and things of that nature. So the project is going to be to replace or to try to increase the window size there, which will open into the office, put new facade cladding on it, and basically just improve the appearance of the facade. The rest of the building will be, there's some stucco on there that's cracking and flaking. That will be fixed and repaired. And then the building will get a new coat of paint. The other expansion, if you will, would be widening the door from 12 feet to 18 feet, the vehicular door. And that's more of so the first is an aesthetic issue. The second one is more of a safety issue. 139 Hoboken Avenue now is a very busy street, as everybody knows. There's no parking lane. There's no shoulder. So in order to turn into there, it's a little bit on the tight side, and to make that movement a little bit safer, widening the door would allow cars to get in a little bit more easily for repair and for the tow trucks to get in or whatever else needs to happen. In terms of exiting, it's a little bit easier because you're going from a full stop. You're able to look down and look for the traffic. You're able to look for pedestrians crossing, and the wider door really provides greater visibility for that. So that's really a safety consideration. So in effect, what might be called, the expansion really are the improvements. And so the expansion in and of itself really provides the special reasons for granting this expansion of a non-conforming use. D2s do not require the same level of proofs. You don't need to prove the particular suitability because the site's already there. The building could continue to operate as it is. So you're not looking at rationalizing why the use is not permitted in a particular zone. And there are the simple improvements to the property in terms of aesthetics have been found by the courts to be a reason enough to grant the variance. So I think that the variances that were the D2 variance that we're asking, and in fact the minor site plan, which I guess I should back up and just discuss that a bit, is that a minor site plan is required anytime you improve an existing commercial storefront. And so the area where we're putting the new window in is considered to be the new commercial storefront, and therefore it needs to go for a minor site plan. So the minor site plan is with the D2 variance, and that's why it's before this board, and that's what we're asking for approval for. I think that the positive criteria has been met. The granting of this variance would be a municipal action to guide the appropriate use and development of this property. It's existed for this for this use for 90 years or so. And therefore, I think it would promote the public health, safety, and welfare. I think it also promotes public safety, which is subparagraph 2B. The property provides sufficient space in an appropriate location, given that it's been here for so long for this type of commercial use, which is subparagraph 2G. And then subparagraph 2I talks to promoting a desirable visual environment. This would help to improve the property and improve the appearance of the property. And so I think we meet that test as well. There'll be no substantial detriment to the public good or general welfare. This property has functioned this way for, again, decades and decades. This will not change or increase the intensity of that use. And in terms of an impact on the zone plan, for the same reasons, it's been here for 90 years or so, and it would not have to be abandoned at any rate. So whether or not the variance is granted, this could continue to function. But the variances will allow it to improve both from an aesthetic and from a safety perspective. And therefore, I think we have met the positive and negative criteria.
Thank you, Ed. I have no further witnesses and no more questions.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone from the public that has any questions or comments about this application?
I see one hand raised. Larry Miller. Larry, I am unmuting you. Please state and spell your full name and provide your address for the record, please.
He's muted.
Sometimes it just takes a moment. So Larry Miller, you're able to unmute yourself.
Maybe,
How's that?
oh,
There we go.
Sorry. I trust I'm your first dinosaur tonight. My name is Lawrence Miller, LAURENCEMILLER. I'm an attorney with offices at 8 Lot Street, Jersey City, New Jersey. I represent Mr. Biagio Grasso and his wife Janet Grasso, the owners of the premises immediately bordering the west side of the subject premises. My client's only concern, and I have them on my cell phone speaker, was because of a paragraph in the application that was kind of a catch-all that I can tell from the testimony was not needed to be of concern. It was a catch-all, and I understand the need for it. I'm not being critical of the applicant's attorney in the least, saying any other needed provisions would be addressed at tonight's meeting. We're just dealing with the facade, and I understand that, and my clients do. The only other issue they had was that in reviewing the staff report supplied to the board, it was indicated that the property had been used as an auto body repair shop for umpteen years. And I noticed both the applicant in his application and Mr. Colling tonight both refer to it as an auto repair facility, one that we all know as Oscar Transmissions. And those are the only comments I have. If there are any questions for myself or my client, we're here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know if Mr. Pepe or Ms. Bryn, if you have any questions or comments in response, or if anyone from the board has any questions for Mr. Miller.
No, I thank Mr. Miller for, I understand that that with that catch-all, you don't necessarily know what I might come up here and ask for, but the application is limited to the two elements, the expansion on the door and the new window and the facade change. That is the extent of the application. The property is not currently operated as an auto body. I don't know what the future might hold for that, but I don't believe auto body is a permitted use in the zone. So, I mean, at all. So,
Okay.
And
Thank
then,
you.
just very quickly, I did receive a review letter from Mr. Black, and there were some conditions in that letter, and my client is willing to comply with all of those conditions.
Great, thank you. Lindsay, anyone else from the public?
I do not see any other hands raised.
Okay, then we'll close the public portion of this application. Staff, well, first, does anyone from the board have any questions or comments before we go to staff? Okay. Staff, anything? I mean, we've received your report. The applicant's attorney has already said that they will.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I was muted. I was trying to say something.
Oh, apologies. Yes.
No, my apologies. My apologies. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make a clarification. Mr. Collins stated that this place of business now has been around for 90 plus years. Are we sure it's not 100 plus or over 100 years for historical ramifications?
Well, actually, the report
point.
from your planner actually shows a photograph from 1937, and that on that tax record, the building was built in 1925. So that would give you 95 years. But
Okay, that was my question of making sure, because verification of that, so we're not going into further discrepancies down the line if we find out it was 100 plus, but I'm sure Mr. Black looked into that also. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McCormick. So Cameron, I'm sure that was something that you were going to address in your comments to us. Do you want to elaborate?
Yes. Okay. So firstly, in addressing the member of the Mr. Miller's comment, full disclosure, I can't be entirely certain I know what an auto body shop is, but I've never been a car person myself. I just saw from the 1937 tax record that the tax assessor from the 30s believed that the building was constructed in the 1920s, and the photograph taken in the 30s showed that it was radios, tires, and certain. Yeah, I don't actually know what constitutes an auto body shop versus maybe just some regular repairs. But what I wanted that to imply is that essentially you've had a structure existing in an R1 zone for almost 100 years that's been non-conforming. And we, as Mr. Noling's testimony covered, we have functioned at this location as a auto body shop or garage for X number of years, and the use has clearly mended with the neighborhood. And to be completely honest, a R1 home at this site might be a bit out of place, actually. And this is also one of the I would say 20 areas that are being looked at in the Jersey City Master Plan as areas for rezoning, because 139 is clearly not an area where R1 would be most suitable for development. Aesthetically, the site's achieving improvements. Really, the footwork that needed to be done here was assessing whether or not street trees could be put in, and after assessing the site and determining whether or not a tree could survive at this location, it was determined that no, we've got a wind tunnel, we've got a road that's going to get salted, and the saline will get into the soil, likely killing the trees. And the applicants agreed to pay for those trees to be planted off-site. And again, staff's comfortable with the testimony that Edward gave regarding the D2 variance. And I feel like I'm running in circles here, but with that, staff recommends approval.
Thanks, Cameron. Anyone have questions for staff?
Just the one comment, please. It's almost like the auto body or auto repair or whatever is similar to like what constitutes a floor and what constitutes a story.
I think the real difference is auto body would involve painting and auto repair would not involve painting.
That distinguishes them.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Any questions, comments? If not, I mean, does anyone want to make a motion?
Make a motion on case Z20-067 for approval with the staff conditions.
I'll second it.
All right. I'm going to start with Commissioner Bakta.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Commissioner McCormick.
Yes.
All right. Commissioner Shadid.
Yes.
All right. Commissioner Mitchell.
Yes.
All right. Commissioner Rothman.
Yes.
All right. Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
All right. And Chairman Jacobs.
Yes.
Okay, that's all in favor with staff conditions. Motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners. Have a great holiday.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, take care, Don.
This winter, before the application is expired, before the approval expires. We won't be asking for an extension on this one.
Thanks.
We
might not
appreciate
give
that.
it.
We appreciate that, Mr. Hollenbeck.
Take care.
Thank you. Good luck with the project.
We're flying here.
All right, so we're going to proceed with case Z20-032. The address is 95 Bright Street.
Does Bridget need a break?
Yeah.
Don't jinx us.
No.
This is the last one. We're good. And I just wanted to
Don't say that.
It is the last one. Well,
Yeah.
I can't change
Well,
that.
much
That's
sure,
true.
we're sure of, but
Okay, I'm promoting everyone who has their hands raised. Okay. All right, and just to address Larry Robinson, he had his hand raised towards the end of the last case. We did close public comments. That's why I did not address your hand raised at that time. They were moving into a vote. But thank you for your earlier comments. All right, I think we have everyone over for this
Yes.
last case, 95 Bright.
Ms. McInerney, we have your notices, your affidavit, your proof of service, your notice of publication, and Bridget, we're going to mark that as A1 for this application.
Okay, that's A1.
And also, Ms. McInerney, since we are doing this virtually, you agree to have your witnesses sworn in virtually, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Great, thank you. It's your case. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Marjorie McInerney, and I'm bringing an application on behalf of Lorraine Mako, the owner of 95 Bright Street. She's seeking a D variance for the use change. The existing use is storage, and the proposed use is a painting, instruction and workshop, studio, art studios, assembling shop, painting and framing, manufacture of plaster casts and models. Samuel Bellamy, the planner, will speak more to those components, and the architect, Jeffrey Lewis, will speak about any questions about the plan itself.
Great. So
Great.
your first witness is Mr. Lewis?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yes, great.
And do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And state and spell your full name for the record.
Jeffrey Lewis, Jeffrey-Lewis. And for the record, my license in New Jersey is active and in good standing.
Great. We accept your qualifications. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start my screen sharing. All right. So here we are on our title sheet. We are here for 95 Bright Street. It's located on Bright Street. The nearest cross street is Jersey Avenue. We are in the Van Borst Park Historic District, and we are here asking for one variance, which is a use variance, as was said. Our existing use is storage, which is also a non-conforming use, and our proposed use is an artist workshop, also a non-conforming use. I'd also, lastly, on this sheet, like to draw your attention to the existing and proposed site plans. And the first thing I just want to note is that they're pretty much exactly the same. This building is a one-story building that covers 100% of the lot, and that's going to remain unchanged. And then the second thing that I wanted to note on the plans is there's an access easement and egress easement actually at the back of the property. It's not on our property, but it's behind actually the property next to us, 93 Bright Street, our property, and 97 Bright Street. And then you can see on the existing site plan, it comes out to the street there. And I only bring that up because we do have a window and then a door that opens up onto this egress easement. So moving on to, this is the existing plan. Right now, there's a small office and bathroom in the front. The rest of the space is warehouse space. And then again, you can see in the back, here's that door out to the egress easement in the backyard. This is the roof existing. So what we were showing here is the 1938 photo of the site and then an existing photo of the site. And you can see they're pretty similar, except, all the finishes are different. And our goal, as you'll see with our proposed elevation, is to basically bring this building back to the original as much as possible and replicate this look. And then you can also see the rear elevation drawn here, and there's that door and the window that was mentioned before. These are the side elevations. Again, we are right on each property line. At the front of our property, there is a building next to us that is also on the property line for at least half of the property. That's what's being shown here and here. And then the back half of the building, this is our one-story building that's left exposed. And again, this is going to remain unchanged, and this is just a masonry block wall. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the proposed first floor plan so we can get a better look. So this is the plan. Bright Street is here on the right-hand side. The entry door remains in the same place, and we have a little small foyer and then a little communal room that has a kitchenette and access to the bathroom. Then we have a hall going down, connecting all the spaces. And what we're talking about here is 3 studio spaces and then a third space in the back that's a little more flexible that can be used as a workshop and gallery space. Each of the studios are basically the same. They're 18 feet by 20 feet. They have these really large 6 foot by 8 foot double doors to access them. They have a countertop with a sink, and they also have this new skylight. Each of them has a 7 foot by 9 foot skylight centered on the studio space. So you see 1, 2, 3, and then the last space in the back, which is the workshop and gallery space. has all the same amenities that the studios have, except it's a little larger. It's 22 by 26. And then, of course, we have that rear door to the back. And I just want to mention one last thing on this drawing. You might have seen on the existing elevation that this door is about 2 feet up in the air. So we're proposing to put a few interior stairs going down, and then a new door that will be at grade so that we can actually use it to access this egress easement. Here you can see the roof plan, and it shows the 1, 2, 3, 4 skylights, and then this is our rooftop HVAC unit. It's for heat and air conditioning for the unit, for the building. And it's set all the way back into the middle of the building, so it won't be visible from the street. And then here is our proposed front elevation from the building. And there's a bunch of stuff to go through. I'll try to do it briefly. We went through this for the Historic Commission on Tuesday. So they approved everything here. I'll go through the basics. With the brick, we're cleaning this brick. We're removing all the paint. We're repairing the brick and repointing everything as per the United States Department of Interior standards for historic rehabilitation. And what this means mostly is we're not going to use any grinders. We're not doing any power washing. So it's all soft and careful cleaning. We're also doing this for the sandstone coping at the top of the building and the sandstone sill at the existing window. I'm going to zoom in a little closer here. Okay, and then so now as of start with what we're replacing, you can see the garage door. We're removing the existing door and replacing this with a new wood sliding barn door with glass panels at the top. And this color of these is going to be black. The window is going to be removed. The existing window is going to be removed. Those existing metal security grills on the outside will be removed. And we're replacing this with a new wood double hung window, also painted black. And then again, when you get to the existing transom, and those existing security metal grills on the outside will all be removed. And it's going to replace with this 7-foot tall half glass wood door, and then the wood transom window above. And these also both will be painted black. A few other items. Right now there are two conduits for serving electric on the building, one that comes down next to the door and one that comes down next to the window. We're going to be reusing or replacing and reusing the one next to the door, which was the original from the 1938 photograph, and removing the second one. We'll also be removing the meter box that's on the outside. And that's actually it for what we're removing. We'll be cleaning this address signage and keeping it, cleaning and keeping the drain outlet. And then lastly, we'll be adding this new blade sign with an angled bracket, and the details for that are above. You can see it's 16 inches deep, 50 inches with a 3-inch steel ball at the end. And this will be a black powder coat finish on this bracket. And then the sign itself is a 2-sided metal sign, which is 12 by 36. And the color it's a black glossy background with gold lettering. So that's the front elevation. Looking to the rear elevation now, there's one thing I want to bring up on the rear elevation. We are replacing the existing window with a new aluminum frame window, black aluminum frame window, and we're replacing the existing door with a new insulated metal door, which will also be black. However, the one thing we did forget to drop this door down on the drawing. So what we're proposing, and we'd like to, we would submit with the approval sets, would be to drop this door down 2 feet and put a 2-foot awning, a 2-foot transom window above that door. And then we have the 2 side elevations, which remain unchanged as mentioned before. Okay, and that's my presentation of the architectural plans. If anyone has any questions, we can do it now, or we can wait until after planning testimony.
Let's wait until after planning testimony.
Sounds good.
So Samuel Bellamy will go forward with the planning testimony.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
And could you state and spell your full name for the record?
Sure. It's Samuel Bellamy, S-A-M-U-E-L, last name Bellamy, B-E-L-L-A-M-Y.
Thank you.
And I am a licensed planner with the in the state of New Jersey. I'm with the firm Jesner Robin. Would the board like me to go through my qualifications?
No, we accept your qualifications. I think we witnessed your first
Yes.
your first testimony as a licensed planner, so
Yes,
it's
you did.
fresh in our memory.
Yeah,
Okay. good.
just a couple of weeks ago.
Yep. Okay, so I'll get right into my testimony then. In preparation of my testimony tonight, I did review the plans and application material, also reviewed the Jersey City Land Development Ordinance and Master Plan, and I did visit the site to observe the conditions of the property and surrounding area. As mentioned, we are asking for a D1 use variance for the artist studio workspace use. It is not explicitly permitted in the Van Voorst Historic District. Also mentioned was that the previous use was an existing non-conforming commercial warehouse storage facility. We are adaptively reusing the building for this artist studio workspace. There won't be any bulk extensions to the building. We are existing non-conforming 100% lot coverage. So all the work will be done interior and then the facade improvements that Mr. Lewis just went through. So getting into the positive criteria, where the property is particularly suitable for the proposed artist studio use. As I went through, it was a previous existing non-conforming use. We are improving that condition to more compatible use with the historic district. I did take a look through some of the surrounding uses, and this is a unique case where we're at the south end of the historic district, and the block is predominantly a school building. There also are several ground floor commercial uses on the block. There's a religious facility across the street and several vacant lots that are used as parking lots. I believe that the proposed use is an improvement over the existing conditions and will help to activate the streetscape. Also, that some of the positive criteria of how the project will promote the purposes of the municipal land use law. I do believe it is an appropriate use and development of the property that will improve the conditions and is consistent with the surrounding area, and that's consistent with purpose A. The granting of the variance will also provide sufficient space for the proposed artist studio. We're reusing the building. There's no proposed extensions to the building, so that's consistent with purpose G. Purpose I is that the building will promote creative development techniques. We will be improving the facade, removing some of the existing metal garage door, replacing with sliding wood doors, removing some of the screening along the windows and doors, and really improving and matching what was historically on this building. And then finally, we are promoting the conservation of the historic site and district, and that's consistent with purpose J of the municipal land use law. Getting into the negative criteria, there won't be any substantial detriment to the general welfare. So we are improving and with a less intensive use of the building that's consistent with the surrounding area. Without any proposed bulk extensions, we won't be impacting light, air, and open space on the surrounding developments. And we're also improving the facade, creating a more active pedestrian streetscape and more pedestrian friendly. And getting into there won't be any substantial detriment to the purpose of the zone plan or zoning ordinance. We do promote the purpose of the historic district, which is to recognize the special significance of these neighborhoods because of their varied and well-preserved historic character. We are improving the building, and we also are consistent with the historic design standards. The first historic design standard is that every reasonable effort shall be made to provide a compatible use for the property that requires minimal alteration to the building structure. I think we meet that perfectly by providing this use as it fits within the building and within the surrounding area. Getting into the purpose of the master plan, we do promote purpose 2, which is to provide a concentrate cultural use within an active neighborhood district. I think we're doing that within this historic district, a compatible cultural use that will improve the area. And with that, I would be open to any questions, but that concludes my testimony.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for any of the applicant's experts at this time? Okay. Any questions or comments from the public?
I don't see any hands raised, but if you have a question or comment for 95 Bright Street, please click raise hand or dial *9 if you're calling in. Okay, I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, then let's close the public portion of the application. Staff, any comments?
Just really briefly, I did prepare a staff report for this case dated December 14th, 2020, just outlining the application background and proposal. Give me one moment, sorry.
And that's been shared, I'm sure, with the applicant, Ms. McInerney. The applicant has read the staff conditions. Are they agreeable to the applicant?
I believe that that the applicant is looking to get approval subject to whatever conditions. They're not, what ends up being built and complied with at that point would be, that's down the line. So they want to be able to kind of fully vet the conditions, but that they would accept an approval with conditions, though I can't say at this point they would agree with every condition.
Yeah, so the conditions are, oh, sorry, go ahead.
What does that mean?
I'm sorry if I could, I mean, Lindsay, we've reviewed the planning comments are fine. We can agree to the planning comments.
Yeah, they're all the standard conditions. The only additional one unique to this case is the fact that it's in an historic district. So all Historic Preservation Commission conditions shall be shown on final signature plans, just so we just have one set that is in accordance with zoning board approval as well as historic preservation. Everything else is pretty standard. The architect of record shall be retained during construction. All those standard conditions, nothing specific to the site plan. But just to back up a bit, like I said, my report is dated December 14th, 2020. Just to get into staff comments, it's the opinion of staff that the proposal advances Purpose J of the purposes of zoning and the municipal land use law to promote the conservation of historic sites and districts. The applicant did receive a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic Preservation Commission for the proposed use and site plan. HPC staff and found in their report that the proposal would not cause an adverse effect on the character and or the integrity of the Van Voorst Park Historic District in which it's located. And while art studios are not explicitly permitted in the historic districts, they are permitted use in other areas of the city. If you're familiar, there is an art district overlay in the Heights, and there is the Powerhouse Arts District, formerly known as Waldo, the acronym, located downtown. Therefore, Jersey City does recognize artist studio uses as beneficial to the city. And so the applicant is proposing to repair the existing building in conformance with the city's historic preservation guidelines. And the proposal provides a building that, it's the opinion of staff, that the building is more appropriate for the historic district when compared to the existing warehouse use. And no additional bulk is proposed. So the proposed site plan would not be a detriment to the surrounding neighborhood. And we do feel that an art studio is more appropriate than the existing warehouse use, especially given its proximity to the middle school there on Bright Street. And with that, staff recommends approval with those standard conditions that we just went over before. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Yeah, Lindsay, I just have a clarification. So they have gone through the historic Van Voorst historic already, or is this, and they've given these conditions that they were looking for?
Yes, they received Historic Preservation Commission approval. I don't know the exact date. It's in the certificate of appropriateness that was issued, but they did receive approval. I don't know, Jeff, if you had the exact date.
Yeah, it was the 14th, 2 days ago.
Oh, okay.
14th.
I should have known that. Yeah.
That was just a point of clarification. Thank you very much.
course.
Okay. Anyone have any points they want to raise or questions for anyone? Ms. McInerney, anything else you want to add?
No, just that the applicant is seeking approval from the board.
Okay. If no one has anything else, does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion on case Z20-032 for approval with the staff conditions.
Second.
All right, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakta,
Yes, I really like this project.
Commissioner Rothman,
I like the project. I like sticking out stuff anywhere. But I do want to put on the record that I am aware that the Mako group in the past has had some problem in sticking to the letter of the approvals, and I hope this doesn't become a problem for us in the future. So it's a yes.
Commissioner McCormick,
Yeah, I think sentiments of Mr. Commissioner Rothman that, we want to make sure that these conditions are upheld and that we're not seeing anything brought by lawsuits throughout the city or through anybody else. And I just want that clarification on the record that, we've had problems before and I don't want to see any further problems in the new year coming ahead, but I will vote yes on this project.
Commissioner Shadid,
Yes.
and Chairman Jacobs.
Yes, but to reiterate somewhat what Commissioners Rothman and McCormick have said, we will look very carefully at any amendments that come our way in the future. We hope there are none. We look forward to a great project.
All right, motion carries, all in favor with conditions.
Thank you. Take care.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Mr. Bellamy, you're doing a good job, second time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We both we went to grad school together, so
Look at that. There you go.
Fixes it.
Yeah.
Okay.
right,
So is there anything else we need to resolve?
We just have a few resolutions to memorialize and then we can go. So the first, the application was heard on August 27th of this year. The case is Z20-056. The applicant was 2 Hoboken Avenue. That was a preliminary and final major site plan approval with C&D variances. Present on August 27th was Chairman Jacobs, Commissioners Shadid, Rothman, Donnelly, McCormick, Netchard, and Jamie. And that application was approved, 7 in favor, none opposed. All in favor of memorializing that? The next 2 occurred on September 24th. On September 24th, there were 6 commissioners present. Chairman Jacobs, Commissioners McCormick, Shadid, Rothman, Jamie, and Mitchell. The first application or the resolution to memorialize is Z20-009. The applicant was 22-26 Romaine Avenue LLC. That was an application for D and C variances. That passed, as I said, I didn't say, but that passed 6 in favor, none opposed. All in favor of memorializing that?
Aye.
The next one, same date, September 24th, same 6 commissioners. This case is Z19-109, 41 Thorn Street. That was an application also for D and C variances. That was also approved, 6 in favor, none opposed. All in favor of memorializing that?
Aye.
And the next one occurred on October 8th. That is case Z20-040. The applicant is DNL Properties LLC and Ember Arthur Kill LLC. That was a preliminary and final major site plan with C and D variances. Present on October 8th was Chairman Jacobs, Commissioners Donnelly, McCormick, Rothman, Shadid, Brown, and Netchert. That passed at 5 in favor, 2 opposed. All in favor of approving that?
Aye.
And the next occurred on November 12th. Z20-075, JC Urban Development LLC, final major site plan administrative amendment. Present on November 12th were Chairman Jacobs, Vice Chair Donnelly, Commissioner McCormick, Shadid, Rothman, Netchert, and Brown. That passed. I'm sorry, did I say it was a JC Urban Development LLC? Did I say that?
Yes.
Yes.
I can't remember. That passed 6 in favor and 1 abstention was Commissioner Netchert. So all in favor of memorializing that is
Aye.
Aye.
And that concludes the resolutions and hopefully concludes the evening.
Can I make a quick statement? Can I make a
Yes.
quick statement, please?
Excuse me, yes.
I just want to, say it's been a good year with us old timers that have been here for a while. We did a great job. And with the newcomers that are coming aboard, you're getting to learn the ropes and all, and it's going to be interesting helping, but I'd just like to thank the board members for a good year. And thank you, Vinny and Bridget, for doing an excellent job, and the staff that guides us in such a great manner. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you. Well
yeah.
said.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you, Rich. Well said.
Yeah, we've
So-
definitely accomplished a lot, and this has been a really tough and challenging year. So thank you very much for everybody.
Yes,
very
with that,
much.
everybody stay safe. Have a happy holiday.
Happy holiday.
And we'll
Have a
see
happy
you
Same to all.
next year, as they
See you
say,
next
right?
year.
Vinny,
Yeah.
You guys.
Are we
Yes,
having a holiday
thank you.
party?
Wait a minute.
Yeah, we're gonna have one in New York, I
On
guess.
Zoom.
Oh, man.
Yeah, maybe
I
June. As soon as
Yeah.
everything
That's
gets
right.
better.
I thought we were
Anytime you
meeting in
like.
City- I thought we were meeting out front of City Hall to make snow angels.
Yeah.
Right.
Motion
Good
to
night,
adjourn.
everyone. Yeah.
Good night.
Motion
Good
to
night.
Good
adjourn.
night, guys.